Hey, this is Jim Horn with another black and white photography vlogcast. Last week we had on John Trotter. John Trotter was I guess the overused word would be newbie in infrared photography. John's been doing it for maybe 6 or 7 months now, and that was episode one. But episode two is we're going to bring in the expert. And John Dickson is a well-known photographer in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, right, John?
Asheville.
There we go, Asheville. Excuse me. You can tell I'm not very familiar with the South. Anyway, John's had gallery exhibits. He's been doing infrared photography for many years now. He's had a couple of his cameras converted. I've been out photographing with John. He has an interesting philosophy about shooting in infrared, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So, John, how are you doing, sir?
We're doing just fine.
Good.
It's nice and sunny, and it's fall's approaching down here. It's starting a little bit.
Well, it's
getting just a little bit cooler.
It's getting cold here in Traverse City, Michigan. I can tell you that. Winter is coming, and I know we're going back to Arizona soon. So anyway, John, on infrared photography, how long have you been doing infrared?
I got the first camera converted in the summer of 2016.
Okay.
Oh, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, about 5 years.
Okay. And what camera did you have first converted?
Well, the first one I had was a Sony A6000.
Okay.
And I had upgraded from the A6000 to a 6400 and then to a 6500. So I had an extra 6000 and I sent it off and had it converted.
Okay.
And then after that, we've all sort of been, the A6000 is the A6000 series. They're smaller cameras. They're smaller lenses, and the sensor is a little bit smaller than a full frame. But then we went to these little cameras, the Sony RX100, and this was a 6. And the 6 came out, and they all of a sudden went from a 24 millimeter to a 24 millimeter 70 millimeter to a 24 millimeter 200. So this is a fabulous little camera. It's got a 1-inch sensor, and I have 2 of these that I wear around my neck. Each is a little bit different in length, so I can wear them both. They don't bang into each other. And you can see that I have a red dot on this one. So what it says is you can tell it instantly that this is the infrared one.
Okay.
And there's a green dot on the other one. So
the green one is the
regular one.
The regular camera.
It's the real one. So,
it's the real one.
Yeah.
And who converted your cameras, John?
It was Life Pixel in Washington.
Did you buy the cameras from them and have them converted, or did you just buy from a third party?
On the first one, I had the A6000. I had the camera, and I made contact, and they tell you what to do, and I sent it to them. And for the second one, the RX100 6 had just come out, so I called them and they ordered the camera and converted it and sent it to me.
Okay. And I would imagine it doesn't take long to convert these cameras, maybe a week or two. Is that probably?
Yeah.
Like that. And I know John Trotter told me he got some help from one of the tech guys there to, go over a little bit of the ins and the outs and so forth. But
When you sign up, then you get a half-an-hour tutorial that's online and interactive that is very, very helpful.
Okay. You've got an interesting philosophy about infrared. In other words, when you shoot it, and I've seen a lot of your infrared shots, I mean, you try not to make it infrared. Is that correct?
Well, it's sort of interesting. I have found it interesting to try to take, and it doesn't always work. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't make any difference. But and if you see the pictures, and I'll show you some, that you almost have to be told that it's infrared. And you wouldn't necessarily know it on some things unless I did tell you that it was infrared.
Okay.
So I don't mind it being, if you instantly recognize it, it's infrared, but it's kind of interesting to sort of do it that way.
Well, yeah, it is interesting to do it that way. And so you get the benefits of the infrared, but through your workflow, you wind up something, you do something a little bit different, which we will see. And consequently, what should I say? You get the benefits of infrared, but yet you get a beautiful black and white picture.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, why don't we, I'm going to share the screen. Why don't we share the screen, your screen, and let's take a look at your workflow. How's that?
Okay, so I hit this little green button down here.
Yeah, let me go over here to your thing and I will share it. And I'm going to make you the host now. You are now the host, so you can share screen down at the bottom there.
Okay.
There we go. God, that's great. It worked out
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Okay, so this is your deal. I'm going to let you go through and explain what you're doing.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to show you this picture right here. And this is with the RX 106. So I've got both cameras. This is a scene in Montana last fall. So I've got both cameras around my neck. I take this picture, which is normal, and I convert it to black and white, which is this picture.
Okay.
And I'll walk through here in a minute, but now this is the picture that I took with the infrared.
Okay, so
this is a regular black and white.
Okay, and
this is an infrared.
Okay, oh wow, okay, what a difference. Okay.
So what I'm going to do here, what I normally do is, this is the raw file. So I'm going to open it up, and it's going to open up into Adobe Camera Raw. And I generally have used Adobe Camera Raw rather than Lightroom. I just grew up with it. You can do exactly the same thing in Adobe Camera Raw in the development Lightroom module. So they're very similar. The buttons and the sliders are a little bit different. Okay. But here it is in Adobe Camera Raw. And for the most part, all I'm going to do is then use this to open it up so I can save it as a TIFF file. So this is the conversion from the raw file to the TIFF file. So there may be some things over here on the sliders. Let me move this thing back. That you can do. You can say you can change the highlights a little bit, the blacks, you can, just given this whole thing, it's in such a different color, you really can't tell what's going on. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to say that I'm done with this, and it will open up, and here is the TIFF file that is opened up now in Photoshop.
So we're in a TIFF file in Photoshop now.
Right.
Okay.
So when I first took the tutorial from LifePixel, I'm going to walk you through what they do. And then all of this LifePixel has in a Photoshop action.
So these are, you got these from LifePixel?
Right. So what is in this Photoshop action are the following steps. We're just going to take this image and we'll do an auto tone. We're going to take the image and we'll do an auto contrast. We're going to take the image and we're going to do auto color. And then we're going to do an image adjustments, and we're going to go to the channel mixer, and we're going to the red, and we're going to take that to 0, and we're going to, let's take it to 0. We're going to take the blue to 100, and then we're going to take the blue channel, and we're going to take the blue to 0 and the red to 100. And we get an image then that looks like this.
Okay.
Now I could do the same thing. I have this action down over here, and that action has all of those steps built into it.
Well, I'm glad you showed us the steps, and like you said, you can get the action from LifePixel.
Right.
Okay.
Now, what I do now with this, in order to convert it to black and white, is that I'm going to go up here to my filter, and I use Skylum software, and the current version is Luminar 4. So it should hopefully
there we go. Super.
open up. It has opened up in Luminar.
Luminar 4, and it's available on the internet. I think it's 99 bucks or something like that.
Now you can do this completely manual, but one of the things we can do here, see, is convert to black and white. And we've got all these red and blue channels. There's not a whole lot of color in this thing, but there's a thing up here called AI Enhance, and we can go up there and move those sliders around. So you got all these different sliders, denoise, vignettes that you can use, or they've got all these various Luminar looks collections, so that you can pick all of these different sorts of presets that are available. If I pick one here, it's called Tonality Architecture. And I just go to here one, which I use a lot, called Amsterdam. So Amsterdam changes it to this automatically.
Wow, okay.
It's got one called Barcelona, which is kind of over the top. We've got smooth actions. We've got architecture details. So this is how I take that file and convert it to black and white. And you look at all of this stuff about which one you pick. And I'll have to go back to an old saying I heard years ago from Oscar Wilde. And he said one time, all the morning I was working on one of my poems, and I took out a comma. And in the afternoon, I put it back in again. Okay. So we all have these kinds of comma issues where we make these subtle little changes, and then we put it back, we make another little change, and I just call it the Oscar Wilde's comma problem.
Okay, good.
And we all do this. So I'm going to cancel out of that and come back to where we were. So this is the way I ended it up.
So this is your final image.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure there's some commas in here too. So,
getting back to what you said earlier about, quite frankly, this does not look like an infrared image, but yet you've got all, where's the black and white one, John?
That's it. This is the black and white one.
That's the black and white, but the infrared one is just, it's just so much better. And yet you would never know this is an infrared image.
Yeah.
Never. I've done black and white for a long time as you have. It's just, you'd never know that.
All
Wow.
right. Now here, just briefly, here's a horse in Iceland,
Right.
and this is in color. That's changed to, I mean, this is a regular camera. This is changed to regular black and white. And this is the infrared. And it's a little bit different view, but it's of the same scene.
Uh-huh.
So the horse has a different appearance. The mountains in the background.
Right.
Uh, this looks like all this up here is ice
Uh-huh.
and stuff. It's not. It's all of this, and it's probably green.
Yeah. Yeah.
All this green stuff. So all this green is going to show up white. Other things show up white as well.
Well, it's such a different image, and the horse almost looks as if it's sort of cut out into the background or into the scene.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can see the fence, obviously.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So the workflow is extremely easy. I mean, whether you're using the action from Life Pixel or you're just doing it manually, and John Trotter does his manually, but
Yeah.
it seems to me the action thing would be a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, if we were to take, this is the TIFF file.
Yeah.
And if we just come down here, and I've got it set up to run right there. So
Oh,
I just
okay.
ran it. So that instant ran all those steps that I did.
So it ran all those steps. Then after this, you would take it into Luminar 4 and you would.
Yep,
convert it
that's
to
exactly
black and
right.
white.
Yep.
Very easy, audience. Very easy.
Yep.
All you got to do is get the cameras. Let's take a look at some of your other images, John, that I'm sure people are going to want to see.
All right.
Ah,
Can you see that? Big?
I may have, but I don't think the audience is. That's beautiful.
No, I mean, you can see it big on the screen.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I've noticed with infrared is that it is helpful to have sunshine on the foliage. If I had taken this picture with a normal camera, the foliage would have been dark, the mountains, parts of the mountain, and the contrast would be enormous. So that it would be so enormous, you couldn't see the details and the highlights, the details and the shadows. It would all be blown out. By the same token, if this was a cloudy day, I mean really cloudy,
Uh-huh.
this picture would be enormously dull in infrared.
Wow.
And it would really work in a normal camera. Because
You know what I find interesting about this picture in infrared, normally a black and white guy just shooting with a regular black and white camera would probably walk by this scene. And he would, because it would be difficult unless he had, he's all different. Well, he couldn't use filters if he's using the camera. He would probably, or he or she would probably walk by the scene, but having that infrared capability allows you to do a scene like this, and it's absolutely beautiful, because you see with the trees down there and the shrubs and so forth and darkened sky.
Yeah.
It just jumps out.
And this again has got sunlight on it.
Uh-huh.
This is just a trail close by. This is the mountain scene here in the southern Appalachians. And this scene was in the summertime, so that the green trees down here are the white things that are lit up. You could essentially get the same feel if you took this in late October when the foliage was changing with a normal camera, and you would get these same spots where the yellow and orange trees were out in the landscape.
Uh-huh. But what time of the year did you take that, John?
This was in the summertime.
In the summertime, okay. So you'd actually be, if you wanted to take it with a regular, what you're saying is you'd probably have to wait till the fall. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, it will work both places, but you're going to get more of this color dynamic going on
Right,
in the fall.
right,
And it will show up in this same sort of, the different trees will be different whites in the fall,
right.
but it will have the same sort of feel to
Okay.
it in black and white. And this is a tree that's in on the Biltmore estate, a Japanese maple that's close inside. And this again is on a sunny day. And this picture would not work at all if it was a cloudy day and you didn't have all this foliage all lit up.
Yeah.
There's again this is in Scotland. This looks certainly more infrared. That's also in Scotland.
Now, this one, John, boy, that's beautiful, John. This one here, when I look at the position of the sun, it looks pretty high in the sky.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the other advantage of infrared is you can shoot at, where you normally with a regular camera, sun up, sun down. And what you're saying here is you can, or what you're showing is you can almost fill in the rest of the day.
Yeah. That's in Montana. And this looks very infrared. So that's Montana. That's
Wow.
Montana, and that looks very infrared. And that is a Japanese garden in Helena. So that's sort of, we just looked at several images. So I don't know if you want to see any more.
I think that's good. I want to talk a little bit about, as you've gone through what I'm going to turn the screen over. Once you stop sharing, and we'll get us both back on there. There we are. And I'm going to reclaim the host because I have some other questions. So you've gone through this process, John. You really do. I'm not blowing smoke. You've got some great images. And I know you've worked on this a long time. I've been out with you in the field when you worked on it, and and you got your 2 cameras and so forth. But when you started doing infrared, what did you find your stumbling blocks were initially, or things you ran into where you weren't getting an acceptable image at first? Something you could tell the audience that they wouldn't necessarily have to go through that process. In other words, get around some of those stumbling blocks.
I think the major thing is to pay attention to some of the instructions that LifePixel gives you. I think if I had not had that, I would have been in a much different, you might say, phase of trying to figure out what to do.
Okay.
But once I knew that what they were doing, and I followed their advice and recommendations, it mostly worked. So,
yeah. I'll put the link to LifePixel down below in this vlogcast so people know where to go and so forth. So when you look at the infrared, what is your noodle going forward? Do you have any other projects that you're thinking about? Or I know you get out and travel quite a bit. So
that's has come to somehow a screeching halt with
yeah.
all of this virus stuff.
Yeah.
We had some things in the works, and so we're just kind of stuck here. So
Stuck. Yeah. I have one other question, which I talked a little bit about. So you find shooting broad daylight, no problem. I mean, providing the subject matter is good and everything.
well, yeah, it's certainly with infrared, it has expanded that horizon.
Okay.
So there would be many days here, particularly in the southern Appalachians, where if it was a bright, clear, sunny day, I wouldn't even bother.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even go out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going out if there were lots of cumulus clouds or if it was kind of overcast. Uh, then that works very well. And I gave up years ago of trying to do everything at sunrise and sunset. As long as I've got clouds in the sky, big cumulus clouds, it's a gold mine.
Wow.
Whether it be at 8 o'clock in the morning, noon, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I found that works with infrared as well.
You know what I just thought, because we had talked about this a little bit earlier, and actually because of your incentive, I'm starting to work more now on long exposures around the Lake Michigan area here. Then I thought, I wonder if long exposures would work for infrared. What do you think?
I haven't done any.
Yeah.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
I have tried some, with 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds, on the fast moving water streams that are here.
Yeah.
And so far, I have not been successful. I don't like the way the infrared portrays the water.
Okay.
It doesn't, it didn't do anything for me.
Is it too dark?
It's too dark.
Yeah.
You don't see the details that you do in the regular one.
Okay. Okay. Well, John, I certainly appreciate this opportunity. We've had a lot of listeners on Trotter's deal. And, it's surprising. People even listen to this on the podcast and then they come over.
Yeah.
And I'm going to also put a link to John's website in here so you can take a look at more of his images. I'm sure he's got some infrared there. He's got some other kinds of images. I think you'll be duly impressed. Anyway, John, thank you very much, sir. And
Thank you.
You take care.